Perfect. Okay, we'll let everybody in. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today. We're going to get started in just a minute
Aloha.
because some technical difficulties a second ago. But all right.
Okay, I think everyone's in now.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining us today for our workshop on critical thinking. My name is Craig Mitchell, and I'm coming to you from Hawaii Community College in Hilo. And my colleague here is Kim Martinson from UH Maui College. Hope you all are enjoying a sunny day today. We're having some sun today for the first time in a long time. And to get started, we want to chat with you about critical thinking, which is a key to success in your career and life. So essentially, critical thinking means asking the right questions before making a judgment. By thinking independently and reflecting on your choices, you can make better informed decisions every day. In school or in any job, problems will pop up. And this workshop, hopefully, will help teach you how to use logic and reasoning to solve those challenges. You'll learn how to stay open minded and change your perspective, and hopefully become a more disciplined thinker so you can always make the best choice. Research has consistently demonstrated that when clear goals are associated with learning, it occurs more easily and rapidly. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at our goals for today. At the end of this workshop, we hope that our participants will be able to define critical thinking, understand the critical thinking process, identify the role of logic and reasoning, recognize benefits and barriers to critical thinking, identify characteristics of a critical thinker, evaluate information using critical thinking skills, and recognize ways to improve those skills, and also explore and revise perspective when needed. And in between our modules, we like to share a quote. This one, thinking is the talking of the soul with itself. So a lot of self-reflection and emotional awareness is important for critical thinking. And critical thinking skills are valuable for everyone because they help us navigate a world full of information. While we think all day long, using critical thinking ensures we make the best choices based on the facts. It uses logic and reflection to help us form solid arguments and make smart decisions. So, whether at home or school or work, being able to think rationally helps you stand up for what you believe in. And critical thinking does go deeper than just our basic everyday thoughts. Instead of just accepting facts at face value, a critical thinker analyzes and questions information to truly understand it. This process helps you break down complex ideas and figure out the best solutions to your problems. So, by thinking this way, you become more open minded and take better control of your learning. Critical thinking does involve asking questions. So, questions like what is happening? Why is this important? Who is saying this? How do I know? And what other possibilities exist? Everyday decisions shape your quality of life. To live your most successful life, you need strong critical thinking skills. These skills help you express your ideas clearly and improve how you talk to others. This can mean, hopefully, that you have fewer misunderstandings and less frustration in your interactions. No matter what career path you choose, being a good thinker is a huge advantage. Today's economy runs on information and new ideas. So employers are looking for people who can use logic to solve problems because these people can be trusted to make smart decisions on their own and also work efficiently in a team. So while critical thinking is a superpower, you don't need to use it for every tiny choice, like what socks to wear. You should save your deep thinking energy for moments that actually matter. If a decision could change your future, like your finances, your career, or your relationships, you'll want to use a critical approach for these kinds of decisions. Failing to think things through in these big moments can lead to lost money or missed opportunities. Essentially, if the outcome will affect your long term, then it's time to stop and analyze that situation critically. Logical skills are the tools we use to make sense of important decisions. There is a strong link between logic and critical thinking. Logic acts like a filter that helps you separate the truth from the lies. In philosophy, logic provides rules for reaching what they call a valid conclusion, meaning a conclusion that is based on proven facts. So if a statement follows the rules of facts, it's considered to be logical, like 1 plus 1 equals 2. If it doesn't, then it's illogical. By using logical thinking, you can break an argument down into pieces, see how they connect, and decide if the reasoning is actually solid or just a bad guess. So, four major steps of logical thinking are asking the right questions, organizing your data, then evaluating your information, and finally drawing conclusions. An individual's ability to reason well is also considered a critical thinking skill. Many of the definitions of critical thinking tend to focus on a person's ability to reason. So, reasoning occurs when we use our knowledge of one thing, process, or statement to determine if another thing, process, or statement is true. Reasoning will help to strengthen your ability to draw logical, sensible conclusions. When we apply reasoning, we use logic to determine what follows what. And human reasoning does not always follow logic. It can often be based on emotional bias. So, two main forms of reasoning are deductive and inductive. Deductive is when we use our prior knowledge to work out a conclusions, or sometimes we say infer when we're working out this conclusion. A conclusion, when we work out the answer with our prior knowledge, is an inference. And then inductive reasoning, when we gather information or make observations that lead to a hypothesis or a conclusion. That's much like the scientific method. And here are, at the end of each of our little sections, we have a little quiz question for you. And so for this module, here's our question. You could throw your answer up in the chat. What is the goal of critical thinking? Is it A, to ensure your voice is heard, B, to reflect on your mistakes so they don't happen again, C, to ensure that people make the best choices based on the best information, or D, to make decisions based solely on what you already know? I see some answers coming into the chat, a lot of C's. Seems like everyone's in agreement. Yep, that's correct. C, to ensure that people make the best choices based on the best information. Next one, what is critical thinking? Is it the process of forming decisions based on our biases? Is it the act of finding faults in another person's argument? Is it the act of formulating a response while listening to a speaker? Or is it the process of questioning ideas and conclusions by analyzing, assessing, and reconstructing concepts? That's a big one. What do you guys think? D's, I see several D's coming in. That's correct. Yeah, critical thinking is questioning ideas and conclusions with analysis and assessing concepts. Thanks for participating. One more question. When should a critical approach be applied to a situation? All the time, when you're looking for facts, when you're in an argument, or when the outcome will make a significant difference to you. I see some D's coming in. That's correct. When the outcome will make a significant difference for you. I lied. There's another question. What can result without the use of critical thinking? A loss of financial resources, a loss of relationships, loss of opportunities, or all of the above. Right, lots of D's, definitely catching on. So the critical thinking approach is going to be crucial for those really important decisions in our lives, and they'll help us have a better life. And then finally, our next section, is the mark of an educated mind to be able to it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Yeah, this is a crucial part of critical thinking. Consider what someone is saying and just take it in without judging it. Just allow it to wash over you so that you can really entertain the thought. And every day we face challenges in which we are required to assess, resolve, and use our ability to reason. So rather than being a passive recipient of this information, critical thinking encourages us to become active listeners and to follow a disruptive pattern for thinking. Critical thinking will involve having conscious awareness of your thought process. And to effectively achieve the best outcome, there are elements and steps to guide you through the critical thinking process. The steps of thinking critically will take you from conjecture and assumption to authenticity and facts. So observation is a big one of these. As humans, we are constantly observing the world around us. Observation provides us with a clearer vision and can direct us to the right path to identify and solve problems. To begin an analytical process, it's necessary to observe your surroundings. A great critical thinker will have a keen sense of observation. They will listen attentively and notice minute details in both verbal cues and nonverbal communication cues. Observation begins the critical thinking process by identifying the problem, its significance, and who might be involved. A critical thinker will ask questions to acquire a deeper understanding of a problem or an argument, including what is the problem and why do we need to solve it. For analysis, so after identifying the problem and setting a goal, the next step is to collect and interpret relevant data. Analysis is central to critical thinking. It involves breaking complex information into smaller parts to deepen understanding or find solutions. And then the next one is inference. Making inferences simply means coming to a conclusion based on evidence, going beyond the obvious and seeing what lies beneath it. It involves assessing whether the information and data you have collected is both reliable and sufficient. This conclusion is determined by analyzing information. We proceed to make statements about the unknown based on what is known. Rather than quickly drawing conclusions, inferring is about educated guesses, as well as personal experiences. For example, if a coworker comes to work using crutches, then they hurt their leg or foot. Or if the sky is gray, then there is a chance of rain. So what you may not realize are the mental steps you actually went through to make that inference. You observed the situation, analyzed what you saw, and made a decision about the situation instantaneously. Effective communication, also essential when explaining or discussing solutions. It involves clearly sharing and receiving information through verbal, nonverbal, or written means. Critical thinking supports this process by helping you organize your thoughts, present conclusions convincingly, and listen carefully to form appropriate responses. Communication is often overlooked in critical thinking, but without clarity, it can lead to confusion. To avoid misunderstandings, consider your audience's level of understanding and engage respectfully with their perspectives so that your message is conveyed effectively. And finally, problem solving. Critical thinking can help you to form practical solutions, whether it is issues at your workplace or difficulties in your everyday life. So after you have detected and analyzed a problem, as well as organized the information into relatable content, your final step is to choose and execute your best alternative and put it into action. Problem solving will require you to consider new ways of doing things or to generate new ideas. It will help to determine whether your solution is working in relation to your goal and evaluate which methods work best in which situation. It's important to be specific about what you want to achieve, since this will help you determine what information is relevant. And a quick question for this section. To ensure that you have the correct information, it is important to blank. Ask a coworker for advice, check with your boss, challenge your sources, or use the highest rated item on a Google search engine. I see some C's coming in. I have to adjust my screen so I can see the chat. We got a lot of C's. Challenge your sources. Yeah, absolutely. Right. To ensure you have correct information, it is crucial to challenge where that information came from. What was the source? And the next one, what does it mean to make an inference? Is it coming to a conclusion based on media, coming to a conclusion based on biases, coming to a conclusion based on assumptions, or coming to a conclusion based on evidence? And I see D, 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 D. Yeah, it is coming to a conclusion based on evidence. So not just our assumptions, not just what we saw on social media, but true and actual evidence is a valid inference. And blank is often an overlooked element in the critical thinking process. Is it problem solving, analysis, communication, or inferring? This one's not so obvious to me. Oh, but everyone's seems to be getting it. So it's C, yeah, communication. So the other pieces are problem solving, analysis, inferring are often not overlooked in critical thinking, but important to also communicate out what's going on with that thinking process and the solution that was surmised and inferred, so that it is relatable to others. R.S. Nickerson tells us that neither a closed mind nor an empty one is likely to produce much that will qualify as effective reasoning. I'll chew on that one for a while. Okay, the benefits of critical thinking. Since the need for critical thinking is all around us, we can all benefit from expanding our critical thinking skills. Developing these skills will have spin-off benefits. So not only are you improving your quality of thinking, but you're also developing your confidence. Also, in addition, you're developing your knowledge and your relationships with others. So critical thinking is the key to driving growth and success, both personally and professionally. The more you practice critical thinking skills, the more positive outcomes you will experience. One of those can actually be increased happiness. So one of the most important factors to creating a life of happiness is maintaining a growth mindset that thrives on challenges or sees failure as an opportunity for personal development. Becoming a critical thinker will help to increase your happiness by allowing you to better understand yourself, your motivations, and assess the strengths you have to offer. Critical thinkers recognize the importance of freeing themselves from negative thinking or cognitive biases. The quality of life you have is dependent on the quality of your decisions, and critical thinkers can stay optimistic by having a goal in sight. And every day we make many decisions that can affect our future. And critical thinking helps us make better ones. It supports problem solving by using logic to look at different options and think about possible results. Critical thinkers try to avoid mistakes caused by false reasoning or bias. Instead of guessing or relying only on intuition, they use careful thinking to make decisions and reach conclusions. So learning critical thinking skills can improve your communication. Critical thinking helps organize your thoughts and express ideas clearly and confidently. When you are prepared with facts and solutions, it becomes easier to share your message with others. Good communication skills are important in every part of life. They help prevent misunderstandings, build trust, and strengthen relationships. So critical thinkers also consider others' perspectives before responding. This can lead to more thoughtful conversations. Everyone can benefit from stronger communication that's developed through critical thinking. Persuasion is another important skill related to critical thinking. And it's important in all parts of our lives, especially our professions, because it can help people accept ideas and take action. Being persuasive means using clear arguments and logic and reasoning to influence others. So to change someone's viewpoint, you need facts that support your position. Critical thinking encourages careful thought, which helps you explain your ideas clearly and persuade others more effectively. Some tips for improving persuasiveness are make it logical, make whatever you are presenting realistic, Provide information in a sequence that's easy to comprehend. Use visual aids like diagrams and charts, and use things like analogies, metaphors, and comparisons to make them clear. And finally, critical thinking fosters team building. Career success often depends on teamwork. Critical thinking supports teamwork by encouraging brainstorming, problem solving, and analysis. Teams become stronger and more creative when members respect different viewpoints and feel safe sharing ideas. Asking important questions and suggesting solutions helps teams work together and find the best way to move forward. Call a few quick quiz questions for this section. Which of the following are spin-off benefits of critical thinking? Is it greater confidence, better relationships with others, improved knowledge, or all three, all of the above? Some of you guys are coming in real fast. D, 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 D. Absolutely, right? It's all of the above. Lots of crucial and very essential spin-off benefits that come from critical thinking. And how do critical thinkers remain optimistic? Is it by reflecting on past mistakes, encouragement from others, considering the negative consequences, or having a goal in sight? You guys are really paying attention. Yeah, absolutely. Having that goal in sight can help get us through the tough challenges. We remember what our motivation is, and it's that goal. And finally, what does it mean to be persuasive? Is it the ability to strategically organize information, the ability to influence others, the ability to cause disagreement, or the ability to analyze information? That's right, it is B, the ability to influence others. And ideally, with critical thinking, we're using facts and truth to influence those other people. Do not define your children to your own learning, for they were born in another time. So critical thinking helps us be empathetic and less judgmental of others based on their time and place. Characteristics of critical thinker. Critical thinkers have a unique way of thinking, exploring, and understanding the world that we live in. Not only do these individuals have strong thinking skills, they have powerful characteristics that help to strengthen their critical abilities. A critical thinker will have a set of characteristics that influence their motive to conquer challenges and also to achieve their goals. Since critical thinkers are always looking to expand their knowledge, they will often take advantage of the many opportunities around us to apply critical thinking skills. And here are some of those skills. Self-awareness. An individual's ability to think critically is strengthened by being self-aware. Self-awareness is about knowing yourself and understanding your motives and your own thoughts and feelings. This includes knowing your strengths and your weaknesses that can guide your decisions. Someone who is self-aware will not simply rely on what the external world is telling them, but rather will explore different sides to the situation. A critical thinker will understand the importance of making decisions based on rational thought that involves consideration and analysis, instead of only emotional responses that are influenced by personal biases. Self-awareness involves understanding your biases and knowing when to put them aside. While self-awareness is important for critical thinking, the ability to think critically will in turn help you become more self-aware. Self-discipline drives progress and success. Critical thinking requires focus, motivation, and independent reasoning. It helps you to stay committed to your goals and reflect on your choices. People who think critically often show empathy, awareness, and a desire to improve themselves and their surroundings. Curiosity is an important trait of critical thinkers and strong leaders also. So curious people stay open-minded, ask questions, and seek to understand the world around them. This curiosity drives learning and helps uncover solutions by exploring ideas like why and how. And the next one is creativity. Creativity strengthens critical thinking. Critical thinkers explore new ideas, make connections, and test different solutions instead of sticking to one method. Thinking outside the box leads to innovation and growth, especially in professional settings, and it inspires meaningful change. And then finally, humility. Humility is important for critical thinking. Being open to learning means recognizing your limits and accepting mistakes. So, humble individuals consider other perspectives and welcome new ideas, allowing them to grow without letting that ego get in the way. That was a quick module. Got a few questions for you. Why will critical thinkers choose to take advantage of opportunities to apply their critical thinking skills? Is it to prove other people wrong? Is it to show that they know the skills? Is it to increase their social status? Or D, to expand their knowledge? I see several of you read it and started answering it. Yep, D, D, D. Not so much about the ego and the personal representation, but about the knowledge. And what does it mean to be self-aware? Is it relying on the external world, understanding our motives, thoughts, and feelings, recognizing how others feel about us, or lacking confidence in our ideas? Yep, I see a lot of B's coming in. That's right. So self-awareness is understanding our motives, thoughts, and feelings. And last one, blank is driving force of critical thinking and unlocking of possible solutions.
What?
Is it time, pressure, curiosity, or prejudices? C, 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 C. Yeah. Curiosity is a driving force of critical thinking. W.S. Graham shares with us, the ear says more than the tongue, right? So we can gain a lot more from listening than speaking often. Critical thinking is a learned skill that improves with practice. So with so much information available, developing habits that strengthen analysis and decision-making can help you make better choices over time. Active listening supports communication and critical thinking. It means paying close attention to what others say, noticing verbal and nonverbal cues, and understanding the message before responding. Good listeners focus on understanding while they're listening, rather than preparing a reply. And asking strong questions can help with this. Asking strong questions leads to better critical thinking. Thoughtful questions create new insights and ideas. By slowing down, listening, and reflecting, you can learn more and challenge your understanding. Questioning is key to growth and should never stop. And of course, large problems can feel overwhelming, but breaking them into smaller parts makes them easier to solve. An analytical approach helps reduce stress and generate solutions. By identifying smaller issues, we can work towards solving the bigger problem step by step. And as we've seen, emotions can play a role in critical thinking. They can motivate and guide understanding, but they also must be managed so that they don't cloud judgment. Emotional intelligence, as in understanding and controlling our emotions, helps us build empathy and improves our decision making. Thinking for yourself is a powerful tool. Critical thinking is a self-guided and reflective process. After considering information and advice, take time to form your own conclusions. Your experiences and insights are valuable when choosing your best path forward. And a few quiz questions on this one. What is active listening? Is it engaged listening, judging what the speaker is saying, formulating your own thoughts, or is it selective listening? I see a bunch of A's coming in. Yes, active listening is engaged listening. Yeah, showing that speaker that you're paying attention, not looking at your phone. What is a common obstacle to active listening? Is it formulating your own thoughts when listening? Is it speakers who talk too much? Is it speakers who use complex language? Is it good concentration? Yeah, I see a bunch of A's coming in. So thinking about what you want to say while you're supposed to be listening can often be an obstacle to active listening. Really want to think about what's being communicated and process it without jumping into your own thoughts and conclusions right away. And let's do one more. Why do critical thinkers ask questions? Is it to find out information on unfamiliar topics? Is it because they become impatient with research? Is it in an attempt to confirm knowledge? Or is it A and C? Seeing some different ones. Yeah, it's both A and C. So finding out information on topics and attempt to confirm knowledge.
I'm gonna do this one. Skip it.
No thanks. Yeah, let's go to the quote, please.
Okay.
Hey, Kim is going to take over from here.
Okay. It is marked of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. A no. Okay, so improving your skills, part 2. So we can't make perfect decisions all the time, but we can improve how we make them. Critical thinking is a skill that helps us develop with practice or develops with practice. When we don't think about our thinking, we can become overconfident or stop trying to improve. Even I can talk. Even successful people can grow complacent if they don't reflect on their decisions. Critical thinking begins with awareness, and the more you practice reflecting on your thoughts and aligning your decisions with your goals, the stronger your thinking skills will become. Okay, so visual mapping. One effective way to organize your thoughts and explore connections is through mind maps or logic trees. Visual mapping helps you organize information clearly, see relationship between ideas, explore new connections, analyze the options before making decisions, and integrate new ideas into your thinking. So you want to start with a central theme, and that's like the big purple circle in the middle, and then branch out into related topics and use words, phrases, or even images. So each branch can expand into more detailed ideas. Mind mapping creates structure and improves clarity and helps you see the bigger picture while making thoughtful decisions. These are also helpful to hold on to and look back on. Okay, keep an open mind. An essential part of critical thinking is keeping an open mind. Open-mindedness means being willing to consider new evidence, explore different perspectives, and revise your understanding when necessary. It requires setting aside preconceived notions and avoid being defensive about your ideas, especially when they're being challenged. When you remain open to new insights, you create opportunities for growth and develop a deeper, more informed understanding of the world around you. Okay, so getting involved. Improving critical thinking requires practice and active involvement. You can strengthen your reasoning by participating in discussions, problem-solving activities, and real-world challenges. In the workplace or classroom, volunteering can help with new ideas or projects, which can expand your perspective and develop creative thinking skills. You want to surround yourself with strong critical thinkers and also expose you to diverse perspective and deeper insights. Okay, participating in games. So playing games is a fun and effective way to strengthen your critical thinking skills. Strategy games such as like chess or puzzles and problem-solving challenges stimulate your brain and encourage logical reasoning and decision-making. Even simple group games can test your ability to think sequentially and adapt quickly. Through strategic thinking and creative problem-solving, games can help develop the reasoning skills needed to become a stronger critical thinker. Okay. Improve sleep quality. This is a big one for all of us. We all know we need more sleep. So sleep plays a critical role in how well we think. Quality rest supports decision making, perception, memory, and logical reasoning, helping your brain stay sharp and focused. Without enough sleep, thinking becomes slower, problem solving becomes harder, and irritability increases. If you want to strengthen your critical thinking, start with consistent, healthy sleep habits. Taking care of your body and mind directly impacts your performance in school and at work. Okay, so we have a couple questions. Okay, why are mind maps beneficial for critical thinking? So we have A, the learner is able to map out their thoughts. B, the learner is able to analyze choices to form decisions. C, the learner is able to explore new connections in a more visible way. Or D, all the above. You guys are fast. Okay, so the answer is D. Yep. By using visual diagrams, you're able to map out their thoughts, explore new connections, and make everything more visible. Okay, well, another question. The key to being open-minded is not allow preconceived notions to constrain or inhibit reflection on newly presented information. True or false? Okay, yes, A, it's true. It's important not to allow preconceived notions inhibit reflections on newly presented ideas or information. Okay, we have another question. Why are games good for improving critical thinking skills? We have A, they help us stimulate the brain. B, they sharpen your mind. C, they encourage you to make decisions and problem solving. Or D, all the above. Great, again, you guys are quick. All of the above, D. So games help stimulate your brain, everything, sharpen your mind, and encourage you to make decisions and solve problems. Okay, we have another quote. True genius resides in the capacity for evolution of uncertain, hazardous, and conflicting information. Winston Churchill. Okay. So evaluating the information. One of the most powerful ways to strengthen your critical thinking skills is to carefully evaluate the information you consume. While this step can feel challenging, especially in a world flooded with content, it is essential to make informed, confident decisions. Critical thinkers carefully evaluate the accuracy, reliability, and potential biases of their sources. Even when the information appears factual, it is important to question its credibility and take responsibility for what you choose to believe. Okay, avoiding assumptions are easy to make, and often we don't realize we're making them. An assumption is accepting something that is true without evidence, usually based on an incomplete information or failure to ask questions, while often unspoken assumptions can mislead us or limit our thinking. Strong critical thinkers challenge these assumptions. They seek evidence before drawing conclusions and base decisions on logic rather than guesswork. When left unchecked, assumptions can block alternative perspectives, reduce creativity, and prevent us from fully understanding others. Okay, so watch out for the bias. When evaluating information, it is important to watch out for cognitive biases, which are mental shortcuts that can interfere with objective thinking. Biases are shaped by our experiences, perceptions, and incomplete information, and they can influence how we interpret facts and make decisions. Strong critical thinkers recognize their own preconceived opinions, remain open to new evidence, and avoid seeking only information that is confirmed what they already believe. Maintaining objectivity is essential for balancing reason and sound decision making. Okay, so clarifying questions. If you want better answers, ask better questions. Clarifying questions helps you gather accurate information, reduce misunderstandings, and deepen your understanding of a situation. They promote active listening and often uncover insights that might otherwise be missed. Questions such as, could you elaborate? Or what do you mean by that? Or what sources did you use? Or is there another approach to consider? Strengthen communication and sharpen critical thinking skills. Okay, next we have SWOT analysis. You might have heard this before. A SWOT analysis, also known as situational analysis, is a simple strategic planning tool used to evaluate a project, organization, or decision. SWOT stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So strength and weakness are internal factors. These are the elements within your control, such as the resources you use, the skills you have, the performance, or your process you're choosing. And then opportunities and threats are the external factors. These include like the market trends, competition, different needs from an audience, the economic conditions. So these are things you can't necessarily control. So using a SWOT analysis helps you think logically, assess both current and future influences, and make more informed, balanced decisions. Okay, next we have like a T-chart. So after identifying a solution, don't rush to implement it. Many problems have more than one answer, and effective problem solvers take time to review all possibilities before deciding. Critical thinkers compare alternatives and determine which option is most effective. So evaluation steps. You want to create a T-chart, which is kind of the image here, and develop a clear criteria. So assign importance of weights. You can say like how important, prioritize what matters most, and then rate each solution against the criteria. So taking time to compare options leads to stronger, more informed decisions. Okay, so this is a quick module. We have some review questions for you. So what is an assumption? Is it A, a statement in which no proof or evidence is provided? B, a fact? C, a state of evidence? Or D, proofs made to assert a claim? Yes, you guys are fast. A, an assumption is just a statement in which no proof or evidence is provided. Assumptions can be both mental or verbal. Okay, next one. What is a bias? Is it A, to refute existing assumptions? B, an assumption about something that is formed from information we are given, perceived, or lacking? C, validation of a new information, or D, a fact determined from evidence? You guys are good. B, yes. Biases are assumptions that make it difficult to accept new information or exchange accurate information to others. Okay, last question. A SWOT analysis. What is the purpose of a SWOT analysis? Is it A, to assess external and internal factors? B, to assess current and future potential? C, to assess only external factors? Or D, A and B? Yes, D, because you want to do all of them, not just the external factors, both external, internal, and then current and future trends. We have another quote. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Wayne Dyer. Okay, we're going to move on to barriers. So your mindset influences every area of your life. While critical thinking is a skill anyone can develop, certain barriers can limit your ability to use it effectively. These barriers may be formed from opinions, ideas, or simply being new to territory. Recognizing these barriers is the first step towards overcoming them. Awareness allows you to challenge limitations and move forward with clearer, more intentional thinking. Okay, time and pressure. So without a doubt, we can all benefit from having more time. We live in a very fast-paced world filled with deadlines. And under time pressure, it's easy to make quick, reactive decisions without fully thinking them through. Critical thinking, however, requires intention and time. It involves breaking down arguments, analyzing evidence, and thoughtfully connecting ideas. Unlike gut reactions, it is deliberate rather than rushed. When facing important decisions, pause, follow a clear process. And although it may feel slower at first, careful analysis reduces mistakes, prevents misunderstanding, and ultimately will save time in the long run. With consistent practice, this approach becomes second nature, and it'll come a little bit easier too. Okay, insufficient knowledge. Critical thinking relies on having sufficient background. Without a solid understanding of a topic, it is difficult to analyze it logically or draw sound conclusions. To think clearly and creatively, you must search or research the subjects, verify facts, and evaluate the credibility of your sources. Question where your information comes from and whether it is reliable. Especially now, there's so much stuff out there. You want to make sure if you're stating facts that your source is reliable. The more information you have, the more effectively you can apply this logic. Ask meaningful questions and make well-reasoned decisions. Okay, next we have closed-minded. Being closed-minded is one of the most common barriers to critical and rational thinking. When people see issues in black and white, they assume there's only one solution, limiting creativity and problem solving. This rigid thinking prevents us from considering alternative perspectives and often lead to weaker outcomes. Now, to think critically, you must remain open to new ideas, evidence, and viewpoints. Open-minded individuals are receptive to growth, willing to learn, and humbled enough to admit when they're wrong. These qualities will lead to stronger personal and professional success. Okay, next, we have the drone mentality. You might have heard of this too. This is like operating on autopilot, and it can weaken critical thinking. When you stay in our comfort zone and move through our daily tasks without reflection, we limit growth and overlook valuable opportunities. Breaking out of this drone mentality requires intentional thinking, questioning what you are doing and asking whether it truly makes sense. So staying curious and mentally engaged strengthens awareness, creativity, and overall critical thinking. And next we have groupthink mentality. This is when social pressure can encourage a groupthink, mentality if you're in a group, large group, when maintaining harmony becomes more important than thoughtful analysis. Groupthink occurs when individuals go along with the group's decision without questioning ideas or offering their own perspectives, often out of the desire for acceptance or just to make things move quickly. When disagreement feels uncomfortable, creativity and sound decisions making may suffer. So strong critical thinkers, they ask questions, they share their own viewpoints, their own views, and respectfully challenge others' ideas. This will help bring a healthy debate that will hopefully strengthen your decision, while a blind agreement weakens that. So if you have a point or you're not necessarily agreeing with the group, you want to make sure you can voice that, not just go along with what everybody else is saying, just because it's more convenient. Okay, so we have a couple questions here. First question, what happens when we work against the clock due to time constraints? A, we produce great outcomes. B, we improve our critical thinking skills. C, we make poor or wrong decisions. Or D, we're able to identify connections. That one's easy. Yes, C. When we work against the clock, we often lead to poor and wrong decisions. Okay, next question. What is drone mentality? Is it A, working better under pressure? B, when individuals come together to decide on an important decision? C, the act of thinking before you speak? Or D, the habit of performing our daily tasks without thinking? So we're kind of across the board here. The answer is D. So drone mentality can be harmful because you're just doing things out of your habit, your daily tasks. You're not really putting much thought into anything. You're just doing the same thing day after day after day. It's kind of the drone mentality. You're not really stopping and questioning why you're doing something, or if there's like a better alternative, or, putting too much thought into it. Okay, last question. What is groupthink? Is it A, sharing responsibilities on a project? B, critical thinking as a team? C, the practice of making an independent decision? Or D, the practice of making a decision as a group that discourages creativity? Okay, so this one's actually D. Groupthink happens when a group of individuals come together to decide on the important decision and support what is being said without asking or giving their own views. Okay? You want to make sure that you actually, if you have a different opinion, you want to state that. You just don't want to go along with the group because it's easy. Okay, next quote. We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. Albert Einstein. Okay, so next module here is changing your perspective. The way you approach a problem shapes the solution you find. Your perspective is influenced by your background, culture, education, and your life experiences. Critical thinking challenges you to step outside of your usual viewpoint and consider new angles. When you shift your perspective, you expand your understanding and create space and growth. Okay, so altering your viewpoints. Strong critical thinkers intentionally examine issues from multiple perspectives. They view a problem from different angles, which helps them leads to deeper understanding and more effective solutions. Perspective taking requires temporary setting aside your own beliefs to generally consider other people's viewpoints. When diverse voices are heard and valued, We reduce our biases, build empathy, and recognize similarities and also differences. And it helps you see the bigger picture. Expanding your perspective strengthens both your reasoning and your personal growth. Okay, being objective. We naturally interpret situations through our own experiences and beliefs. But effective critical thinking requires objectivity. Being objective means setting aside personal biases and emotions long enough to evaluate information fairly and logically. This allows you to analyze evidence clearly, consider alternate solutions, and make balanced decisions. While emotions are valid, strong critical thinkers use their choices to guide them rather than their impulse. Okay. So other ideas, thinking in reverse. So maybe when you feel stuck, you try approaching the problem from the opposite direction. So this is called reverse thinking, which means working backward to uncover new ideas and possibilities. Instead of asking, like, how do I solve this? You can ask, what might be causing this problem in the first place? Or how could I create the opposite result? So shifting your perspective can reveal overlooked solutions and encourage more creative, flexible thinking. Okay, next we have consider your consequences. So every decision carries consequences. To make the best choice, pause and consider how your decision will affect both your life and those around you, now and in the future. Critical thinking helps you evaluate options carefully and choose the actions that align to your goals. Before moving forward, ask yourself, what is it like? What is the likely outcome? Who will be affected by this? How? And any long-term implications. So thoughtful, intentional decisions lead to stronger personal and professional outcomes. Okay, and lastly, we have identify inconsistencies. Critical thinking requires recognizing when ideas, beliefs, or evidence don't align. When new information challenges what we already believe, we may experience cognitive dissonance, which is discomfort that comes from conflicting thoughts. So it's natural to want to justify or ignore inconsistencies, but strong critical thinkers do the opposite. They acknowledge these contradictions. They remain open to new evidence and use logic and objectivity to evaluate differences. Growth happens when we're willing to examine ideas, even when they challenge us. Okay, another short module. We have some review questions. What factors help to form your perspective? Is it A, culture, B, education, your personal experiences, or all the above? Okay, yes, this one's good. This is easy. D, all the above. All of these affect your perspective. Okay, next question. Effective critical thinking requires the individual to be blank, objective, subjective, young, or easygoing. Okay. Beautiful. I see lots of A's. Objective. So being objective means setting aside your personal biases and emotions. Okay, last question here. What is reverse thinking? Is it studying a problem without the use of resources? B, thinking on a problem backwards to help come up with new ideas? C, thinking on a problem at a different time of day? Or D, forming a form of thinking in which you remain biased? Okay, yes, you guys are quick. B, thinking on a problem backwards to come up with new ideas. Great. Okay, we have one last quote. Happiness comes from when we test our skills towards some meaningful purpose. Okay, so now we're going to put it all together. So critical thinking does not happen automatically. It is a skill developed through intentional practice. In order to be an effective critical thinker, you have to put yourself in the situation, analyze issues from every angle, and then determine a plan to move forward. Critical thinking strengthens leadership by improving decision-making, communication, and problem solving. When practiced consistently, it leads to more confident choices and better outcomes in both personal and your professional life. So remember, critical thinking is not a talent. It is a discipline, and it improves with practice. Okay, so reflect and learn from mistakes. Mistakes play an important role in the learning process. One way to strengthen critical thinking is to change how you respond to them. By reframing and reflecting on errors, you can analyze your decisions and identify what to do differently next time. Reflection is valuable not only when things go wrong, but also when things go well. Thoughtful reflection challenges your assumptions, encourages growth, and helps you apply feedback to move closer to your reaching your goals. Which brings us to your goals. So, to think critically, you must be clear about what you're trying to achieve. Every decision has a purpose, and understanding your goal provides a strong foundation for the evaluating your options. You want to ask yourself, what do I want? And what outcome am I hoping for? You want to keep your goal in mind. When facing pressure or disagreement, emotions can easily take over. And having a clear objective helps you stay focused, disciplined, and guided by logic and thoughtful reasoning rather than reaction. Okay, and the last one is think, but don't overthink. It's important to think carefully before making a decision, but overthinking can hold you back. When you overanalyze a problem, you focus more on the issue than on the possible solution. Critical thinking is constructive and goal-oriented. It moves you forward. Overthinking, on the other hand, can stall progress. Focus on what you can control, take action where possible, and redirect unproductive thoughts into a solution-based thinking. The ability to think clearly without getting stuck is a valuable skill in every area of our lives. Okay, so we have a few more questions. Okay, what is the best way to retain and improve your critical thinking abilities? Is it make assumptions, exercise, practice, or group think? What do you think? Okay, ECC. So this one is practice. You want to practice. Just like everything in life, you will improve your critical thinking with practice. Okay, next question. Why is it important to reflect on mistakes? Is it mistakes hold great value in our learning process? They tell us when to quit. They offer perspective on what you might want to do next time. Or D, A, and C. Okay, yes, I see D's. So both A and C are correct. Mistakes are great, value our learning process, and they do offer that perspective. Okay, last question. When overthinking moves you forward in a decision-making process, critical thinking stops the process. True or false? Okay. I see B's. Yes, false. Remember, overthinking holds you back. Okay, amazing. Okay, so wrapping up. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope that your journey to understanding critical thinking is just beginning. And we look forward to hearing about your success. So you guys can, what we're going to put in our chat here, a survey. So if you guys would be so kind to do our survey, this helps us be able to see what you guys are interested in, how we're doing, what you want more of. And then we also have, we can put our information in the chat as well. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today. Stop sharing for a second here so I can grab that information.
Okay, here comes the survey link.
And here's our contact information as well.
Thanks everyone for clicking on that link, letting us know your feedback. We take it to heart. If you gain something from today's session or have suggestions for improvement, we are very interested in hearing from you.
Okay.
Thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.